Okay, Ian Stokey back at it. This time doing a Deff Dread from the Orks faction of Warhammer 40,000. And the upload of that last video was a debacle. Got messy real quick. So we're going to start off with 09011 Leaf Green. You need a fair amount of it, as this is going to go on the bulk of the body, using a larger brush than normal too. And basically, going to be doing the vast majority of this model with this color and picking out a few details later on. Computer's still acting kind of funny, so bear with me if I gotta turn away. Don't know what's going on. Don't have any viruses, I just ran a scan, it's just something funky. And bit on lore. Deff Dread is an orc-made combat walker that has its pilot physically hardwired into it. And while the orc so interred spends the rest of his life eating through a straw, most orcs would kill to get the kind of power a Deff Dread offers. And this is another model where you could make a distinct argument for doing only a partial assembly before painting. But again, I simply prefer not to. That is purely personal preference. So, like most models in the Warhammer 40,000 line, or from Games Workshop in general, actually, now that I think about it, the Deff Dread comes with an abundance of optional parts and customization. In this case, I've assembled this at its most basic level, equipped with its standard issue 2 Dread Claws and 2 Big Shooters, though the guns can be swapped out for other armaments, including more claws. And hand-to-hand is something that the Orks excel at, while shooting is one of their weaknesses. While their guns are about on par with what the other factions have in terms of damage, Ork accuracy is terrible. They're on average going to miss about 2/3 of their shots. And as I paint this, I have been reading a series of Warhammer novels called The Beast Arises, about the first time since the Horus Heresy that the Orks rose up and actually threatened the Imperium. So far, 2 books in, with the next 2 scheduled to be delivered tomorrow. But uploading that last video turned out to be a whole buffet of technical difficulties. Forcing me to start the whole upload process from scratch a second time, and having to omit the list of paint colors I used. I used so many I couldn't quite remember everything I had used. I'll probably pick out multiple colors on these guns later on, but I'm just worried about getting the base coats on, or at least this first main one. So in terms of armaments, the big shoot is a pretty standard anti-personnel, like heavy machine gun type weapon. Good anti-infantry power and a reasonably high number of shots. Ork anti-personnel weapons shoot out so many shots anyway, you don't have to worry too much about what's going to get missed. But on their anti-armor weapons, like their rocket launchers or custom mega blasters, where you're only getting one shot per attack, that's when the Orks' overall low accuracy kinda hurts. They more than make up for that in hand-to-hand, but still, a game like this, every attack counts. And even with some of the rules changes to the vehicles and monstrous creatures where they get weaker as they take damage, any enemy model that isn't dead is one that's going to be fighting back. Well, a wounded or damaged vehicle or monster is going to be at a reduced capacity in terms of, in many cases, accuracy. It's still going to have all its weapons in most cases, at least as far as I've seen in the indexes and codexes I've got thus far. My base strategy with Orks anyway is to just get them into hand-to-hand as quickly as possible, shooting while you close in. Overall, I'm very satisfied with 8th edition. It's a much more streamlined game. A lot of these components on the engine are definitely going to be picked out later in other colors. Just doing a quick job here. I need to pull out some leather brown or something for this duct taped stuff. And the second book of The Beast Awakens, there's actually, assuming the novels are canon anyway, actual canonical reference stating that Ork technology works just because they think it does. Oh, I knocked that really good. Now when I paint, I don't always have every detail figured out when I start. Most of the time, I have only a rough idea of what I want it to look like and like to make up some of the details as I go along. I know, for example, some of these bits are going to be silver and others bronze. I'm just not sure exactly which are going to be which just yet. I definitely know I want that fuel canister to be a bright red-orange. It's almost a tease how many spare parts from these Games Workshop kits come with. The, war bosses I cobbled together from spare parts from one of my earlier videos. For example, I did that because I had plenty of extra heads, arms, and torsos, but no extra legs. It was kind of a tease. I do like that you get all those options, but it does feel like a tease sometimes when you've got just a single torso or a single set of legs shy of getting a whole other model of a kit. Okay, this last little bit should do it. It's a bit too much water on that, but it's fine. It's going to get touched and retouched several times before I'm done. That's good for now. Nice solid base coat over the bulk of the model, and the next few layers are going to be mostly picking out little details. So off to a good start. Okay. 09008 Sun Yellow. Gonna keep picking out some details. Okay, that is horribly clogged. Wasn't there a... yeah. I want to get the lightning bolt on that little electrical box. The yellow. And one of the wires, I think this one. Excuse me, a little blocked up. So, heard an interesting and also unusual announcement via an email from Games Workshop this morning, I think, when I got it. Apparently, for Halloween, they're partnering with that World of Tanks online game and putting some of the iconic tanks from 40K into World Tanks for a little bit. That seems kind of weird. They specifically mentioned the Predator as being one of them, but it just seems kind of odd, is the best way of putting it, I suppose, to have a dedicated World War II themed game suddenly get tanks from a fictitious future. Yeah, it just strikes me as just a little bit weird, but bigger question is, how many World of Tanks fans have heard of Warhammer 40,000? Again, it's just kind of an odd little thing. I'm just picking out wires and other details. What else, I wonder? Get the lightning bolt on this little junction box here. I do that another color. And again, this is a pretty easy way of doing vehicles, is just start with one color and just pick out a few details. There's no right or wrong way to paint a model. Hmm. And all these decisions on what parts to pick out with what color right now are completely arbitrary and spur of the moment. In fact, in a few years when I've completely got every orc thing I want, but the only thing that's going to give it cohesion would be the lack of cohesion. And then side. Suppose I'll call that good with the yellow. Yeah. 09026 violet red. That's probably not the best part to grip, thinking about it in retrospect. I smudged the foot I painted a second ago. Touch that up. Hmm. Well, got all the wires. I think I'm done with this color. I see one more hose back here. I'll paint this, actually. Right back here. One more connecting tube here. Let's see a little wire in the shoulders. Go ahead and do that, though it's mostly covered by the armor here. Do it anyway, just for style points. Alright, I think I'll call that good for now and let this dry for a little bit. Okay, Tarnished Steel 09206. Go ahead and get some of the sharp, pointy bits. And let's see. The big shooters. Go ahead and redo the actual weapons themselves in silver, but I'll leave the ammo boxes and the attachment points green. Or is it technically an ammo hopper? I'm not sure myself, but I at least try to be accurate with some of my terminology. At least admit when I might be using a word incorrectly. What can I say? I work with a lot of people who consider English their primary language, but still don't speak it. Yikes. At least nothing broke, but I am a little worn out. Long day today. It's pretty good. And pick out the teeth on the dread claws. And on this one, these saw blades here. This kid had 5 different claws, if memory serves right. It's more than a little difficult to just pick 2. Since it is possible to do a Deff Dread with nothing but claws, and since it actually gets a benefit for having more than what you consider the norm, a quad claw Deff Dread, probably going to be the next one I do, or next configuration I do. I don't know when I'll be getting a second Deff Dread. In most circumstances, I like to get one of everything before I get a second of anything. But just see what happens. It's got the weapons. Get this part of the piston here. And mirror that with the other claw. And on the arm. mirroring. I will go ahead and do this part of the foot on the inside here. Same for the other leg. This whole thing I wanted to pick out in silver. This is, after all, the orc equivalent of a dreadnought on multiple levels. There's a light here. What else? And just like the other colors I've done, just picking out random bits. Let's do this gauge here in the silver. That'll probably add some more color to it in a bit. Now, since this is something of a grasping appendage too, I'll go ahead and just do this whole thing in silver. Why not? I'll go ahead and get the hole this icon is attached to. A little bit more out. To these spikes here. that a bit. I'll leave those chin spikes as they are, but I will do this cap over the foot here. And looking at the access hatch, I'll do these hinges. And this handle. And why not, I'll go ahead and do these secondary generators on this claw and silver as well. Why not? Pick out a few of these large screws. Alright, we'll leave it at that. Let it dry. Move on in a bit. Okay. 09062 leather white. This is going to finish up the base coats. Or, no. I stand corrected. There's going to be one more color after this. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and make this already skull-like visage look just a little more skull-like. Yeah. And then 09110 oiled leather. And that's going on these wrappings around these, some of these exhaust pipes. And using silver for a duct tape appearance would also be very appropriate, but wasn't sure if it would come across as duct tape. I think I may paint some graffiti on there later, but I do that as a detail. It's pretty good on base coats. I'll go ahead and let this dry completely and then start on shading in a little while. Okay, so been looking over my paint job and I'm not completely satisfied with the way this turned out, so I'm going to modify it a little bit. Now, in terms of painting over existing paint, something you should do with caution. You do it too much, you'll end up covering up details. So I'm going to take Tarnished Steel again, 09206. I'm going to go over this foot. And if it looks a little different in the end, that's okay. Probably will since I'm layering on here, but that's too thick. That's okay. Let's see here. And I'm going to go ahead and get some more of these pistons in the arms. Basically getting the entirety of that piston on the leg, and this one here too. And yeah, I'm going to touch up a bit of this here. Actually, we'll go ahead and do the entirety of these exhaust pipes in the silver and brass. And I probably won't do a video on how to effectively strip paint from models because it takes a good long while. Like, I'm talking weeks sometimes. But it's something I've done before, something I'm actually doing right now with some older War Machine models. Those paint jobs I'm less than satisfied with. Though maybe I will mention how to do a stripping paint tutorial at some point, or at least talk about it. I'm just going to pick out a few more details with this. Then I'm going to take that 09062 leather white again. And one of the things I turned out to be least satisfied with as I thought about it were using this yellow as a secondary color, or rather having it mixed with yellow and white. So I'm going to do these details I picked out earlier over again in the white. It'll make it look a little more cohesive. In official 40K color schemes, you don't see a whole lot of green on orcs, but then again, their skin is green, so it makes perfect sense not to go overboard on one color or use exclusively one color. Though monochromatic paint jobs can be interesting. I've seen a few excellent ones, but in this case, why? I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but why wouldn't an orc, essentially hardwired into this thing for the rest of his life, why wouldn't he want it green? After all, according to the lyric version of the Ork song, everybody knows green is best. Again, if you haven't seen that, there's a few versions of that on YouTube. It's total rockabilly thing, hilarious, and absolutely fits the Orks. Okay, that looks much better. I think I will pick out these chin spikes in the white too. That's much better. I'm going to go ahead and keep these two panels in that violet red. Yeah, that's looking much better. And starting on shading, starting with the leather tying the exhaust pipes together. 09109 Ruddy leather. And that's way more than I actually need because it's just two little bundles. Keeping these precariously placed pipes from, well, falling apart or ending up somewhere the operator doesn't want them. Okay, and then let's see. Tough calls all around. I can actually go ahead and shade what yellow remains. So 09007 Marigold yellow. And there's not that much of this. Not since those touch-ups I just did. I'm talking kind of funny because I actually end up losing my ability to speak at work. It's a stress thing. It can sometimes take me a bit to actually start speaking proper language again. So getting the little lightning bolts and these pipes and wires. Just making sure I get it right the first time. And this little wire here. And that little wire there. Okay. No, I'm gonna have to wait a bit. The other colors are touching way too many other sections. So, just gonna have to wait a bit and let stuff dry. Alright, next color 09025 Burgundy wine. That should be enough. There's just a little bit of this too. Let's go on this one knee plate. Well, not technically the knee. A little hard to tell, I guess, where the knee begins. I'm rambling. Okay, on this wire here. Back there. There. This pipe here. Okay, finish the body before I move on to the arms. Okay, I guess that was it for the body. And that wire. And that wire under the armor here. It's a little tricky to get, but it's okay. And then here. Little plate right bottom of the banner. I suppose I can do the white too. So 09061 linen white. bit of the red in there. So the panels here I repainted that have the yellow underneath will look just a little different in the end. That's okay. Okay. Gonna have to let that dry a bit and then move on. Next color is gonna be, where is it? 09004 Fire Red. And yeah, I'm probably gonna be spending a good chunk of next month's entertainment budget on paint. Okay, starting with that tank underneath here. Or maybe it's a battery. It's hard to tell sometimes. Well, hard to tell in general. I mean, this is abstract anyway. Taking care to paint around the lightning bolt. This one here is going to be a little tricky. Probably not a good thing that this obvious fuel canister has a couple of bullet holes in it, but I do not think an orc would care. Decisions. I suppose I'll go ahead and do the silver next. So 09205 Blackened Steel. And arbitrarily just starting on the foot here. It's got to be very meticulous here and make sure I don't miss anything. I'm trying to work in sections. Okay. Even after being up on YouTube for about 4 months, I'm still not used to talking on camera. There may eventually be music in my videos. A recording program I'm using here came with a music mixing program. And it seems pretty basic, but I might be able to do something with it. It's not even a priority let alone a high one to learn that, though. It's just something I got by coincidence more than anything else. I'll probably play around with at some point. Played around with it a little bit already. So if there are any, I am slaughtering the English language today. If there is any music on this channel, it'll end up being something I compose, most likely with this program. Though I actually did learn how to play classical guitar and was getting pretty good at it in college, but it's been a while. It's something I want to pick up again, so that's another possibility. But again, any music I put on this channel at any juncture, at least something I come up with myself. Just trying to blow that excess out of there. Let's see. And the pole here. Well, we'll see when Games Workshop gets to a new Orks codex, if there's any new fluff on them. It'd be interesting to see exactly where Deff Dreads show up in the rankings. So are they usually war bosses or not, or, you know, that kind of thing. The last codex I had didn't say much of anything along the way of that. And I noticed as I went over this model after the last take that there's several wires I missed I want to paint, but I'll just go ahead and just do those solid black when I get to that color in the detail coat. At the very least, I'll be doing the gun barrels in black. This may not be enough paint. Get these big metal teeth here. And the optics here. Did that, so I am going to need just a little more of that paint. Yikes, that is watered down way too much. That's, well, we got the paper towel. Dab out those screws and get these pistons. I'll address the issue of gore again. I generally prefer to keep gore on my models to a minimum, and generally only paint blood spatter where it seems particularly appropriate. So, on my pain boy a while back, I went ahead and did some blood spatter, because they are particularly gruesome individuals that are very messy in their work, both on the battlefield and on the surgical table. While most orcs err on the side of ultra-violence, don't see much point in piling on the blood and guts just because. Again, that is exclusively personal choice. Just about done with this color. Just need to get the other side of the silver on this dread claw here. Get this side of the teeth. Okay. Let's see here. Got that. Okay. It's pretty good. I'll go ahead and let that dry and then finish up in a bit. Oh, I did see a piece I missed. The hinges and valve handle on the hatch up here. There we go. It's got that. Once that dries, I'm going to do the brass, and then the green, and then that should be base coats. That should be shading, getting a little tongue-tied, and then on to highlight and detail. Okay, next color 09196, aged pewter. Well, I am shading this big gear armature in the shoulder. I'm going to be doing only minimal highlighting on it, since it's tucked in there pretty good. It's kind of the problem with shading a grill like this. If you don't get out that excess, it could dry. Leave some areas filled in where there should be holes. Okay, that ought to do it. And I'm throwing my brushes all over the place. Just making sure I've got everything on the body before I move on to the arms. Okay, that just leaves, there's a little bit here I can do, but that's just going to leave the green for shading, and then it's going to be highlight and detail beyond that. Okay, last color on the shading. Pine Green 09010. I'm gonna need plenty of this. Start on the pole here. still trying to get the excess paint out of this eye here. There we go, finally, jeez. Okay. And I am being much more meticulous and careful shading than I was on the base coat here. Well, the good news is it looks like I at least have enough of the green out to finish the job. This is just meticulous, detailed work. And if you don't have a whole lot of experience, I would slow down. I've been doing this for 20 years or so. Since I was like 13 or 14, so I'm making this look easy. I don't know if that high-pitched sound's coming through on this camera or not, but there's a bird out there. I don't see it, but I don't recognize its call either. Just about there on the face. Or I guess faceplate, technically. Just about done with this arm. Let's see. Got the left arm. It just leaves the right arm and the legs. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I've been reading the series The Beast Awakens. which again is about the first time since before the Horus Heresy that the Orks attacked the Imperium in force and made a really good go of it. I'm 4 books in, which is about a third of the way through. So I'm assuming they stopped it at book 12. But well, I am assuming that every character that appears in there, named or otherwise, is more or less cannon fodder at some point. I do like the character of Beast Kruger, one of the Officio Assassinorum, I think I'm saying that right, agents. An enhanced human whose favorite method of assassination seems to involve punching clean through them. They were to make just one actual miniature based off a character from that book, I'd say him. That, given what the Codex Space Marines says about Imperial Fists, and that events in the Beast Arises are mentioned in their section, I'd say I can take a pretty good guess at how it's going to end overall, but I'm not even mad. Still a decent read at least. With book 4 of this, The Last Wall, ending with Orks parking an attack moon above Terra, and pretty much doing nothing. The Orc equivalent of saying, "Does this bug you? Does this bug you? I'm not touching you." And an Orc ambassador going in and saying, "We tells you how to surrender, you surrender. Got it?" And that's after a very disastrous attack called the Proletariat Crusade that more or less involved sending wave after wave of men at the Orks, mostly civilians. Just went about as well as you would expect. Just about done with this Dreadclaw now. I've got a bit of green on the silver here. Touch that up, blot that out. It'll be fine when I wash it. Or, not wash, I'm doing the wash now, highlight. Oh my. Alright, that's got it down to the legs, and I think I got enough paint to finish the job. This has felt like a long segment. Probably has been, but I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm also trying to do this as fast as I am able. It's like a shortening video, but Again, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. Which means I'm going to be patient and as meticulous as I need to be. Okay, that gets the right, now the left. I think I missed that panel. I left steel on the inside. Go ahead and give it a green shade. Make it stand out. Like they crudely tried to spray paint over it. I'm noticing some of the paint on the body is already dry. That's good because it means less waiting for the next section. And also means it says confirmed to be a long segment. Should also mention that my setup for recording these has 0 mobility. The only way I can actually record this is to have my computer directly behind me. So I'm essentially twisting in this chair 180 to get at the computer, so I can't actually see without turning around almost completely what the camera is picking up and what it isn't. And that's caused some of the, if not most of the problems in my earlier videos, aside from that I'm still getting the hang of this. Okay, that's the shading. Let that dry and start some details and then hit some highlights. Alright, 09039 pure white. Go ahead and fill in some of the glowing pieces. I'm going to do this as I wash for the most part. Start by just dotting in here on this light here. Go ahead and go inside the eye and the nose here, but I may want those black. I haven't decided yet. I can always do it again in a second. This sensor here. Let's try that again. And here. I see this eye as being the primary visual sensor for the orc inside. I'm not sure if I want this one to be or not. Okay, and then let's see, I'm looking for these vents here. I may do these exhaust pipes in black, or I may have him glowing something. Just making sure I got everything on this side I want. Got everything on that arm I want. That arm's good. See on the back here. Go ahead and do this inside of this gauge here. And that bit in there. And on the side I want these. Okay, these don't think they're quite vents. Radiators, maybe not certain. But I know I want them to be glowing. This is still a little wet, but it's okay. I want these vents as well. And this shooter has some similar vents, but I think since the shooter is a slug weapon, as proven by the ammunition belts leading up to it, I'm not going to have that glowing. I'll just have that black as in a void. Though if that is in fact a hollow space, then I imagine there would be quite a bright flash as the gunpowder or whatever other propellant orcs cobble up for their firearms ignites. I may choose to do these in black. I may want to have them glowing. I haven't quite decided yet, but in any case I gotta wait for this white to dry before I do the glowing color I end up picking anyway, or colors plural. The sensors will be one color, the spotlight another, and the engine bits a third. And there's another bit here. Okay, I think I'm in good shape here, so let that dry. And then hit the last light colors. Okay. 09004 Fire Red. And I'm going to use this eyes to give him some orky red angry eyes here. That needs to get blotted out substantially. That's definitely what I don't want. I don't want to make him look like he's got a bloody robot nose face thing. Go ahead and put that in This one as well. All sensor there. We'll go ahead and do the nose in black. And then lemon yellow 09009. Just a tiny dot. That's just going to go in the spotlight. And that happened. I gotta clean this up. Okay, moving on. Yeah. Let's talk about the existence of chaos there, since that just happened. I'm not talking about chaos in the case of the chaos gods from Warhammer. I'm talking about it in the real world as an abstract concept. Once you accept that chaos exists and that there are legitimately things beyond your control, it's much easier to control what you can, what you're able to, what you want to, and just be cool about the stuff you can't. And then 09006 Fire Orange. Case in point, despite my usual caution, I still managed to knock over my water somehow, and, well, you saw the result. These things happen, and they are not, things like that are not a big deal at all unless you decide to blow them out of proportion and make them a big deal. It's generally not the best course of action. This orange is going to go in the vents that have fuel coming out of them, or otherwise some kind of combustion or energy generating reaction. Just hoping I don't end up missing anything after all this work. And the places I don't want this glowing orange it's getting onto, that'll come out in the highlight because this is just very light color. Just giving that little extra bit. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that's everything I want in this before I call it okay. Yeah, there's one more spot right there. Okay, that's good. Now once this and I have dried completely, I'll move on and do some highlights and the last of a few details. Okay, got some time to do some details here. 09037 pure black. I thin some of that out a bit and get it in the nose here. Just looking for some of the wires I missed earlier. Just do over in the black here. Get that little needle in the gauge. Okay, go ahead and let that dry and, oh wait, there's one more. Okay, now let that dry and move on to details or highlights. Get a little mixed up. Okay, 09012 pale green. Gonna need a fair amount because this is going over a good chunk of the model. And using a larger brush than I normally would for highlighting. Camera, yeah. I'm still kind of stuffed up this morning, so please excuse all the sniffing. I'm gonna need just a little more of the green to finish this. But I'm also eventually going to have to buy a better quality camera. I'm not going to worry too much about the underside of the arms here. Otherwise, I almost forgot to do the handle boxes on the big shooters. Again, with dry brushing, this is just lightly dusting with what seems like barely any paint in. This makes the raised areas stand out. Okay, that gets the green. Next, Ghost White 09063. And then let's actually start on. So 09006 Fire Orange. I actually don't need all that much of that. Just making sure I've got everything before I move on. Okay. And lemon yellow 09009. Let's see here. Okay. Zero 9027 pale violet red. 09198 Tarnished Brass. Realize I missed a bit of the vial. Touch that up here, like that. And 09207 True Silver. I think this is a bit too wet. Missed a piece of brass here on the ornaments on the pole. Need a little bit more. Just about done. Very nearly done. Alright, that's up. Almost forgot the hatch up here. Okay, that's just about got it. Last bit of paint is going to be 09037 pure black. And the brush goes flying. Put this around the rim of the base, being careful to avoid the actual feet. Okay, Now we'll let that dry and do the basing. Okay, basing time. Basing out that same glue solution as in any other video. Elmer's glue all and a bunch of water. Okay, this is a larger brush for this one. And that one's too beat up to use. Unfortunately, these Games Workshop bases don't have that neat little lip to catch this stuff. It takes a little more work. Particularly the cleanup type work. You can feel it dripping down my fingers on the other side. And so we're going to dip this in talus, rock debris. It's a little trickier on this one because of those big, orky, meaty arms here, but okay, it's got a nice thick coating. I'm going to try one. Carefully brush the excess away. Okay. Alright, then we're going to let that dry for a while. Alright, now just to add a little more interest to the base, gonna get some more glue on here. Big old glob. And I'm just gonna hand sprinkle a little flock into it. And it's gonna be basing. I just need to let that dry and then seal it. Okay, realized after I got the basing on there I missed a spot on the shading or highlighting. So 09111 burnt orange. That should be enough. That's just going on this binding, keeping the exhaust pipes here from falling apart. And that's got it. And all that's left is to seal the basing. So, Scenic Cement. And this is again a Woodland Scenics product, but I'm sure there's other equivalent items out there. I'm just going to carefully drip that over. Overall, we want it to just look moist. This will turn that into a pretty hard shell so it won't go all over the place. Yeah, made a few bubbles there. Okay, that's got it. So only just a little bit more. Oh. Forgot I left the lid off. It's been one of those days. Okay, now that's got it. And there it is. Warhammer 40,000 Ork Deff Dread. So this has been my longest video thus far, I think. Next one's going to be a War Machine model, and the last War Machine model I'll have for a while. Until next time, I've been Ian Stuckey.